Hey guys, it's Mitch here. Welcome back to my channel. This week is another What's Blooming video, and I wanted to share these 4 plants that are in bloom right now. I like filming these videos. I just think they're more interesting looking at a little group of plants as they all come into flower, and it gives me a chance to share and appreciate all the beauty of their blooms. Right now I'm really into these Miltoniopsis orchids that are blooming. Miltoniopsis orchids, they can be a little bit tricky to bloom, but where I live on the west coast, I find them pretty easy just because they do like kind of those cooler temperatures that we have in the summer. Like, although on the west coast we still get really warm temperatures where it can get up to, above 30 degrees in the summer. Usually in the nighttime it does fall down into the teens, and we do have these like warm days and cool nights, which Miltoniopsis orchids really like. Plus we're near the ocean, so there's that kind of moisture in the air, the coolness in the air, and they do like that. I usually grow them under my lights in the winter and then put them out in a sort of shady spot in the summer. And they usually come into bloom this time of year in the spring when the days are getting longer and their growths have matured. And then after they bloom, they'll send out a new set of growths that mature over the summer. These are both Miltoniopsis breathless, but they're a little bit different from each other. This one is a specific variety called Beauty, and this one is just the generic Miltoniopsis breathless. You can see they're similar but slightly different. Like this one has kind of a lighter lip and this one is a more overall solid red. They both have wonderful smell, which is my favorite thing about Miltoniopsis orchids. It's kind of hard to describe their smell. It's a very like clean and light smell. It kind of reminds me of like what a clean, fresh day would smell like if it was a smell. And they can really easily like smell up a whole room in a nice way. Like when they're all in bloom and I have them out in my house when the sunlight is streaming in the morning and it's nice and bright, you can smell them all over the house. And they've got these beautiful patterns. So these spots, when they have these spots and patterns all over the lip, that's called a waterfall. And I love the ones that have the waterfall. I just think they're just so spectacular to look at. They're also known as pansy orchids for obvious reasons. And I do enjoy growing them. I love how they have a really long bloom period and they form these nice little clumps that get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you get more and more and more blooms. So that's those two. Next one we have here, this is a little mini Cymbidium. It's called Cymbidium Mimi Mary B. And I've been waiting for it to bloom. I bought it about 2 years ago. It didn't bloom last year. And then this year I saw that it was gonna bloom, so I got really excited. I didn't really stake it up because actually what I did was bring it inside in the fall and I stuck it down under my lights, like near the lights. So it's not even under the lights, it's just close to them, but it sent out this nice little flower spike, and I've just been waiting for it to open all the way so that I can bring it inside the house and enjoy it in the house. This is kind of a big plant, even though it's a miniature, so you can see it's kind of grown in 2 different directions. There's a little growth here and a little growth here, but they have there's all these old pseudobulbs in between there. So after this one blooms this year, I'm gonna repot it and I'm gonna try and propagate it from all of those old back bulbs. So maybe when I decide to do it, I'll film a video and a little progress of how it works. I've done it before, and Cymbidiums are pretty easy to propagate from back bulbs, and it's really easy to get a lot of plants from a single plant. I do like this Cymbidium because you can see it is not very tall. Like, It's only about a foot tall and it's very small. If you grew it in shade, the leaves are longer. So somebody who sold it to me grew it in shade. You can see the leaves are really long, but I grew it in more sunlight and the leaves are shorter and more, small. So I do want to keep it and just have it in a smaller pot, and maybe I'll just sell the rest of them off. But it has these really, really beautiful blooms. I love the splash of yellow in the center of the column there. And I love the, the reddy brown color. Cymbidiums are really great just because when you do get them into flower, they bloom like for a few months sometimes if you have them in the right conditions. And they're really low maintenance. Like I leave them outside all summer. I don't really go out of my way to water them. They don't care if they dry out because they have these big bulbs that hold a lot of water. Like even this right now is bone dry because I don't have a I don't have a saucer big enough to like hold water and fit the giant pot. So I just will give it a little bit of water maybe once a month, just enough to wet the top, and it doesn't really seem to care. But anyway, I'm looking forward to dividing it and so that it's out of this giant pot because it's been bugging me for a while. And anyway, the last one here, the last orchid that's blooming at the moment, this is an orchid that I bought a few years ago. It's a Lycaste orchid. It's called Lycaste Sueño de Maria Pia. And, the thing is, I bought this orchid and it doesn't really look like what the picture was where I bought it online. So I'm kind of torn because it is a pretty flower, but it was supposed to be more red and white. And this one is really pink and kind of spotty. It does have a nice white contrast and, it doesn't have a scent, which kind of bugs me too because I do like plants that are scented. Like this Cymbidium has there's a Cymbidium smell, some of them have, and my Miltoniopsis, obviously, they're very scented, and I have some Lycastes that are very scented too, but this one doesn't have a scent that I've been able to tell yet. So this flower's only been open about a week. I just brought it inside to film it. I do like the way the flower is shaped. It's kind of like ripply. It kind of looks like fabric. And it does have a really large bloom, and I do like the pink and the white contrast, and the spots I do think are really interesting. And I like how Lycastes, if you look down the column, some of them look like it's, some kind of interesting little bird or something living down in there. I do find Lycastes really easy to grow. Funny story about this one is when I first started growing Lycastes, I just left them outside most of the winter because I did read that a lot of them come from, cool areas. And this one I forgot outside once when it was snowing. We got a surprise snowfall and frost. And so it did this bulb died, and you see this bulb was a little bit damaged. But I was really, upset at the time because it was really cold and covered in snow, and I had to dig it out, and we had about a foot of snow, and then I brought it, well, not inside, but I put it somewhere cool because I read that if you bring it in somewhere too warm, it could really damage the plant. And surprisingly, it did bounce back. Like you can see, it grew a nice new growth, and now it's blooming. So, when people think orchids are really delicate plants, I've had a lot of experiences like that where I've literally frozen plants, left them outside, forgot all about them, and they still grow back because, they have this will to survive. And I guess, a little bit of snow or frost isn't going to kill, certain orchids. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying in my experience that they don't all just die when it's really cold or they freeze or whatever. Some of them just have a little setback and then they bounce back and they grow back. And I've had that experience with quite a few because I actually left all of my Lycastes out when that happened and they all survived. I didn't have a single one that died. So anyway, I am appreciating the bloom right now. It is really pretty. It's just not what I expected. I find that sometimes when you do buy orchids, unless they have a specific cultivar, like this one is called Beauty, I knew I could look up a picture and I could look it up and be like, oh yeah, that's what I'm buying. Other times it's like a gamble, even though this one is named. I'm a little bit like, oh, that's not what the picture looked like on the website I bought it from, but it's still a beautiful flower. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you liked the video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll try and post some other stuff soon. I like doing these videos as things come into bloom, and hopefully you like them too. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment down below. And yeah, I always post pictures of the plants that I film on Instagram, so you can follow me on there, and I put my Instagram handle down at the bottom of this video. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.